Hello again, everybody! Zack Attack is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for tonight, Thursday, May 9th, 2013. Tonight, live from Tupelo, Mississippi. Of course, the home of Elvis Presley, the birthplace of the King of Rock and Roll. My thoughts on tonight's Impact are pretty good tonight, including a return. Now, I knew that someone was going to get involved to be the third man with Angle and Sting. And the man that came back tonight, I kind of didn't expect him. But I'm happy to have him back. Instead of that little wimp, Joseph Park. You've already seen the title of the video. You know who I'm talking about. Joseph Park / a monster. Glad to see a monster back in action. Kind of screwy endings to two matches. Good main event was kind of a decent main event. And 8 and 8's a starting to unravel. Seeing what happened tonight, 8 and 8 starting to unravel. I'll discuss all of that in a moment. But as we start off Impact, 8 and 8 looked very good. As of course, they were getting ready for the big main event tonight. As I mentioned, the 6-man tag at that point of the show when we started off Impact. 8 and 8 had the numbers in their court with, of course, Devon, Bully Ray, and Anderson set for this match. But Sting and Eagle was still looking for a third man when we began Impact. With everybody out, Hardy's out, Samoa Joe's out, Magnus was not out, but a lot of the heroes were taken out that TNA needed the most. So the one man that's been eliminated, that's been toying with TNA's emotions and not saying what side he's on is, of course, AJ Styles. Now, I mentioned this 2 weeks ago about this whole thing about AJ not talking, pulling what Sting did 14 years ago, 16 years ago or so, when Sting came back after being warned by WCW and not saying a word for most of the year wearing the black face paint hanging out in the Raptors. And Sting and Angle started out by calling out AJ, and Sting said, "Hey AJ, I've been down your road. I was the guy who was hanging in the Raptors for a year." That's what I think AJ's doing. He's trolling the fans. He's not saying a word about anything. And Sting and Angle were, of course, talking to AJ and trying to talk to them to being on their side. Angle was like, "AJ, I'm sick of you playing the silent treatment with us and not giving us a full-fledged answer. Say what side you want." And AJ did what he's done the last couple weeks. Walk away without a reply. As AJ was walking away, Angle's problems, his tantrum, his attitude got the best of him. And he beat up AJ right on the ramp because he said, "AJ, you're either with us or against us. And apparently, AJ, you're against us for you walking out on us, so I'm going to beat the crap out of you." That's what Angle did. But unfortunately, Angle inadvertently left Sting all alone in the ring, with Angle getting into a brawl with AJ in the ring, outside the ring on the ramp. Like I said, he left Sting basically prone to an Aces and Eights attack, with Devon and the TNA World Champion, Bully Ray, delivering a 3D to Sting. As ACs began to Impact, dominate over Sting and sending a message for the 6-man tag later on in the evening. Of course, we would see further choices for the 6-man tag third partner go down the drain as the night would progress. So there you go. AJ's out as an option. Who would be left to Sting and Angle to delegate with to make the third man of their team? We would find out soon enough. Alright, let's get action started. After that segment, we began with a tag team match, a knockout tag match. A lot of tag teams tonight, by the way. If you notice that, there's a lot of tag team matches tonight. Anywho, knockouts tag. We have Velvet Sky teaming up with Mickie James against Tara and Gail Kim. I thought Mickie was going to turn heel tonight and turn it back on Velvet, but hey, TNA doesn't want to turn anybody here like WWE doesn't want to turn anybody here, as we all know. Anywho, Mickie and Velvet being friends, hugging at the beginning of the match. And they really took advantage for the midway towards the match. Like, beginning of the match, the advantage was on their side. With Mickie James on the House of Fire destroying the hell out of Gail Kim to begin off. But after that trip, as Mickie was going out for a big move, Tara, was it Gail? I think it was Tara who tripped Mickie. And after that trip by Tara, the heels had the advantage. Actually, it wasn't Tara. It was kind of close. It was Tara's boyfriend, Jesse Goddard, is getting involved, as we knew he would get involved. And after that trip to Mickey by Jesse, Tara and Gail took advantage for most of the later half of the match, isolating Mickey in their corner and dominating over Mickey with the quick tags in and out, as Velvet tried desperately to get in there and try to get herself some of Gail and Tara. But indeed, after getting isolated in the corner of the heels, Mickie James fought back and got the hot tag to Velvet. And despite Velvet's lingering knee injury, she fought back big time and indeed tried to nail the in-your-face on Tara a few times. But indeed, Tara kept countering it. But Tara got nailed into Jesse at one point when Jesse was trying to get involved again, which set up a second attempt at the in-your-face. And that was the victory for Velvet and Mickie. 1, 2, 3 with the in-your-face. Velvet and Mickie get the victory. As Velvet and Mickie were celebrating their victory, Gail and Tara were having an argument about whose fault was it that lost the match. Well, we've seen Gail Kim's anger get the best of her lately. And like she did last week to Terrence Terrell, Gail Kim nailed a figure 4 leg lock on Tara on the ring post. I think it's Gail's new thing, injuring people by using the figure 4 on the ring post. She started doing that last week to Terrence Terrell. We don't know when she's coming back from this storyline injury. So who knows how long is Tara gonna be out with this storyline injury. So there you go. Mickie and Velvet get the victory. But Gail, once again, nails the figure 4 on the ring post. This time, Tara, the culprit, after losing the match. Now on with Ace and Eight's business. Now Ace and Eight, like I said, looked very strong in the evening by dominating over Sting by 3D'ing him and having the big momentum and advantage going into the 6-man tag. But this would be the start of somewhat of a downward spiral for Ace and Eight as the evening would go on. As Ace and Eight had some business to take care of, D'Lo Brown, the VP of Ace and Eight, kind of getting a demotion tonight. As we saw last week, D'Lo put up his colors. He put up his cut on the line to say that he was definitely going to take out Kurt Angle and not say the words "I quit" in the "I quit" match. But when D'Lo told Ace and Eight to step aside and not get involved, that cost D'Lo the match, as D'Lo was the one that said "I quit." And Ace and Eight, specifically the president of the Ace and Eight, the TNA World Champion, Bully Ray, being disappointed in D'Lo's actions and forcing D'Lo to get rid of his cut. And basically, Bully Ray nailed the hammer down to D'Lo, saying, "D'Lo, you want to get back in our company, get back in the fold, get your cut back, be a recognized member again, be a big member again of Ace and Eights. Stand in the corner and watch Doc get the victory over Magnus in this next matchup." So D'Lo stood idly by as Doc took on Magnus. Now Doc had some big advantage even without help from Ace and Eight. Doc really, literally threw his weight around during this matchup, as it looked like Doc was going to get the victory many times. He was really strong and really got the advantage for most of the matchup. But then Magnus pulled the comeback. It was ready to dominate all over Doc. Anthony Magnus was going for a big move after an elbow drop following a clothesline into the turnbuckle. D'Lo pulled Magnus out of the ring, and D'Lo was going to try to help Ace and Eight get the victory. But unfortunately, D'Lo got nailed onto the steel steps. With D'Lo nailed out, Doc did take advantage of that distraction with a big move on Magnus, but Magnus still wouldn't give up. But after that, D'Lo, still woozy from the steel steps attack from Magnus, tried to trip somebody, but inadvertently, like I said, he was dazed, didn't know he was tripping. He ended up inadvertently dizzying, tripping Doc, which helped Magnus nail his big move for the victory. So there you go. Magnus wins after a underhanded move by D'Lo, as he accidentally grabbed Doc's foot. So, there you go. Ace and H was disappointed that D'Lo couldn't do a simple thing as to help the team of Ace and H get a victory with Doc winning. And like I said, D'Lo got demoted. He's no longer VP. He's basically a slave. Basically, like they said, a onlooker. A prospect, should they say. Basically, starting at the bottom of the barrel. Being a slave, being the servant. Manservant, should I say. Taking care of the beer, washing their bikes, and washing their asses in the cuts. Well, not their asses, but you know what I meant. So there you go. And after that little win, of course, Sting and Angle still looking for a partner. Wanted Magnus to be their partner following Magnus' huge win over Doc. And it looked like Magnus was going to be the one to team up against Ace and H with Sting and Angle, but he got taken out by Ace and H backstage. Magnus did try to fight off the numbers game, but they indeed were too tough for Magnus. He got nailed with a weapon like some sort of table thing, and then he got whammed by a keg of some sort to the head. So with Magnus out and AJ quitting or walking out, who is left now? Like I said, will someone come back? Like it's the title of the video, you already know, but hey, I'm just building up to it. Anywho, next matchup. Bad Influence against Aries and Rude with a number one contendership. Now, if you see my TNA Impact reviews for the last 2 weeks, I've had my qualms about the acting division, about the lack of good teams. Look at the X division. They should do what the X division is doing. Even if you had to bring back old teams, like maybe Reunite 3D, it'll give some kick back in the X division and tag division for that matter. Like the X division brought back Petey Williams and Chris Sabin. You see what I mean? It's bringing back new life in the X division. Somewhat. That's what you need in the tag division. And despite my qualms about these two teams being the only teams to fight over the titles with Chavo and Guerrero and Hernandez, the match was still pretty good. Despite the screwy ending involving the referee, special guest referee James Storm, who was being coaxed into helping either team win by both teams giving Storm beer before the match. Chrissy Hemme, of course, fucked up big time by announcing Cass and Daniels accidentally when Aries and Rude came out. And Aries made Christy pay for it big time by making Christy stand in front of him when he was doing his big move on the turnbuckle. They made her pay big time. They're making fun of him on the announcer's booth too. In the words of many fans, Christy Hemme, you fucked up. Botchamania! Anyway, so there you go. Christy botched up the introductions. But, like I said, despite my qualms about these two teams being the only teams fighting over the titles with Chavo and Hernandez, this match is pretty good. Both teams had some great opportunities. Isolated the other team in the corner. Aries and Rude teamed up pretty well in the first half of the matchup, putting their egos aside for this one moment to try to get back in the game and letting the Fortune reunion qualms get the best, not get the best of them. There was I thought it'd be something happening with this Fortune reunion, but nothing happened as of hinting towards the Fortune reunion. More just a clear, simple tag match. Like I said, great double team work from both teams. Great action, though. Like I said, despite my qualms about the division lacking good teams, lacking variety. So we got Bad Influence getting the later half of the match controlling with some isolated teams. I've said about these two teams. Like I said, despite my comments about the division, I think these two teams are great teams. And they're my two favorite heel teams right now. They showed it tonight. A really dominating back and forth action. One of my favorite spots was a great double team move by Cass and Daniels, like some double team powerbomb move, and great counters left and right, great near falls near the end of the match with Daniels and Aries getting involved. And it was a great back and forth, great fast paced action. And Storm was at the beginning of the match. He was really playing down the middle, although there was times that he missed counts a few times. So anyway, Storm was indeed, like I said, not favoring anybody. Not showing favoritism midway towards the match, but near with the end of the match, as Daniels and Aries would go into a standoff with, of course, the near falls, the fast pins, and the counters with Daniels trying to go for the Angel's Wings, and Aries counted it, and Aries did a brainbuster attempt, that got counted, and indeed, Daniels got a pin on Aries. This is when the ending gets kind of screwy. Storm did not count the pin for Daniels because Daniels was holding the tights. As Daniels was confronting... Actually, it wasn't Daniels holding the tights. It was Aries holding the tights. Aries was getting into Storm's face, even making Storm count to 4 after Aries dropped Daniels down again. But indeed, this is when Storm really favored nobody by trying to super kick the hell out of Aries after, I forgot Aries spat beer in the face of Storm, Daniels actually. And then he drank some beer, gave the beer to Storm, and he pushed Storm a bit. That's when Storm was going to super kick Aries. But then Aries dunked it, and Daniels got kicked instead. That's when Aries forced Storm to count the pin for him after Storm inadvertently super kicked Daniels instead of aiming at Aries. But then Aries gets the last call as well after Storm refused to pin. So with both Daniels and Aries down, the match was basically thrown out. That's why I thought the ending was kind of screwy. It was like the pros and the con of the ending. There is a pro and a con of this ending. On the matchup. Con was, it was a decent tag match despite my qualms about the division and lack of variety, like I keep mentioning. Keep repeating myself a lot on here. But great tag match nonetheless. The ending kind of screwed with Storm kind of like kicking the crap out of everybody and leaving everybody out to dry and not counting the pin for anybody. But then the pro, hopefully, with both these teams not winning, hopefully they're both out of contention for the number one contendership and bring some new blood and hype up the tag team division like I've been saying all along. So kind of the match kind of had a screwy ending, but the ending of Storm screwing both teams hopefully knocks them both out of number one contendership for the tag titles and bring in some new blood. And after that, Storm did get a little bit of a get a receipt for what he did as he got laid out by both, apparently both Bad Influence and Aries and Rude. Later on in the evening, we saw Storm laid out, and apparently both teams beat the crap out of him. We didn't really see it because all 4 of them were on top of Storm as the camera went backstage to see what was going on. So Storm laid out, and I bet just thinking Angle were also thinking about Storm since Magnus was out. But Storm out, Magnus out, and AJ leaving the building. There was no one left in the building to help Sting and Angle at the time. Hogan was trying to call somebody in the last minute. But as we would see to find out if and who anybody would come out to help Angle and Sting tonight, we had a segment involving Kenny King and Chris Sabin. Like I've been saying, the X Division's bringing back some old blood in, bringing back Sabin, bringing back Sabin and Williams. Hell, they've been bringing back Suicide in a few weeks. Who's going to play him? Kaz, Daniels, or somebody else? Maybe low key. Who knows who's going to be playing the character, a.k.a. wearing the suit. Anyway, Kenny King apparently showed a little bit of respect to Sabin in this little segment. But of course, I knew that the respect was fake. And basically said, Sabin, I'm going to give you the belt for what you've been through. But the only closest thing you're ever going to get to my title, punk, sucker, as you would say. Kenny King's characters need some building. Anywho, Sabin later beat the crap out of King, leaving him laying, sending a message for the triple threat match next week. It'll be Williams and Sabin taking on Kenny King in a triple threat match for the X Division Championship. Also revealed for next week, former gut check contestants, Alex Silva, Christian York, many others, will be put in a tournament to see which one of the gut check contestants will be a competitor in the Battle for Glory series to fight for the opportunity to wrestle the champion at Battle for Glory. I don't think any of the gut check guys are going to win, but at least having an opportunity to be in the tournament is great, as long as Robbie E's not in the tournament like he was last year undeservingly. Like I said, but before I go to the main event, like I said, once again, the tag team match, good match, but like I said, weird, screwy ending with Storm, but hey, Storm screwing both teams out of a title shot, it's a good thing. Now on with the main event. Sting and Angle. Basically, to begin the match, going out 2 against 3 against Devon, Bully Ray, and Mr. Anderson. And despite the numbers game playing to 8s and 8s to begin the match, Sting and Angle did fight their way through the numbers game and did really fight through it and have some great momentum to begin the match. But indeed, 8s and 8s got back in the winning ways and dominated most of the match as the numbers game got to Sting and Angle despite their valiant effort. It seemed that everything was going 8s and 8s' way in this matchup, following a rough middle of the evening with D'Lo being demoted and screwing Doc out of the match. But then the night went from good to bad to worse, as we saw later on that all of the 8s and 8s with all the rest of the members like Knox and Bischoff and Briscoe were taken out by a mysterious man that Hogan said was going to be the third man. And the third man Hogan did call would come in later on. We would see who that guy was that laid out the rest of 8s and 8s. So with that, my Angle and Sting, after getting triple teamed on for the later half of the matchup, Angle and Sting really came into their own, including Sting getting face to face with his number one champ, with the guy who was going to face for the TNA Championship at Slammiversary, Bully Ray. Those two got it on, and Sting was on fire after Angle got dominated most of the matchup, getting isolated in the corner, but then Angle delivered a surprise Angle slam to Bully Ray, which gave the opportunity for Angle to get Sting in the match. And Sting, like I said, came like a house of fire, delivering Stinger splashes to everybody, even nailing the Scorpion Deathlock to Bully Ray, until, of course, Devon and Mr. Anderson blocked every attempt from Sting to get the victory. Then Sting pinned Anderson or pinned Devon a few times, and Anderson and the other guy, whether it was Devon or Bully Ray, would come in and break the count. But indeed, Angle was laid out as he was trying to help, as Sting was getting triple teamed yet again nearly halfway in the match. As Sting was laid out by Devon after attempting on a Scorpion Deathlock to Bully Ray. And Angle, like I said, laid out. Bully Ray and Devon pulled out a table. It was ready to do the same thing they did to Sting earlier, a 3D, this time through a table. As they were setting up the 3D on Sting, here comes the Mystery Man. A guy that I think was never going to come back at all. Yes, the Monster. Abyss is back. Finally, Joseph Punk is out of the Spectrum, and the Monster Abyss is back. We haven't seen Abyss in about a year since they went with this Joseph Punk character. So Abyss came in like a house of fire, saving Angle and Sting. The match still continued, though. That was kind of screwy that the match wasn't really thrown out. Well, because Abyss was the third guy. And he chokeslammed Anderson through a table. He black hole slammed Devon. Got the pin. In the win. Abyss came back. Glad Abyss is back. Finally, I've been asking myself, I think I gave up. Like I said, I gave up on Abyss ever coming back. You know what I mean? Because I thought they were going to continue with the Joseph Paul character and basically write off Abyss. I thought Abyss, the character, was dead. And they were going to go with the Joseph Paul thing. As we all know, if you're still gullible, Joseph Park is Abyss. Abyss is Joseph Park. To the gullible people who still haven't noticed in a year that Joseph Park and Abyss are the same person, there you go. So I'm glad they brought back Abyss's character back, especially in this time in the storyline with Ace and Eight's dominant. But I think tonight, Ace and Eight's, like I said, this may be the downward spiral for Ace and Eight's, with D'Lo being demoted from VP to basically prospect as a slave, a manservant for Ace and Eight's after critting on them during their match. His match against Kurt Angle last week. And now, of course, Abyss coming back, really kicking TNA's ass a bit, getting him a big boost of hope as Abyss is fighting for TNA with everybody laid out. You know, Hardy's out, Samoa Joe's out, Magnus got taken out, Storm's out. Of all the guys that come back, I'm glad Abyss came back. Kind of, you know. We'll see how Abyss does as he would indeed rally the troops in this fight against Aces and Eights. So that's how we end Impact with Abyss, back with a vengeance, helping Sting and Angle get the victory in a 6-man tag, being the third mysterious man that Hogan called. As Ace and Eights was laid out in the back by Abyss, and of course Abyss laid everybody out in the ring as well as in the back. So there you go. There's my review of TNA Impact Wrestling. Good things, bad things. But hey, decent night tonight with the best coming back. That is it for the TNA review for tonight. I'll see you all later. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah.